How many games will the Atlanta Falcons win in 2023? What's going on, Falcons fans? Is it time for the Atlanta Falcons to rise up and reclaim the NFC South, get back to the playoffs? Will Bijan Robinson run them to the playoffs? In this video, I'm going to predict every game on the Falcons 2023 schedule, going week by week, with my analysis of their schedule this season. If that sounds good, don't forget to spike the like button and get in the comment section and let me know, how will the Falcons perform this year? Let's go. The Atlanta Falcons have the opportunity to play spoiler instead of keep pounding. The Atlanta Falcons will be pounding the rock versus the Carolina Panthers. Bijan Robinson will be the rookie that steals the headlines from Bryce Young. I'm going to take the Falcons in week number 1. In week number 2, you play Matt LaFleur, which is actually the OC before Arthur Smith in Tennessee. Kind of a weird storyline. But I think Atlanta, they run the ball here. Again, they run the ball on the Packers. That's been a weakness for them for years on defense. And I think Jordan Love will make some mistakes on the road early in the season. So I'm going to take the Falcons. 2-0. Detroit Lions and Jacksonville, I have knocking off the Falcons. On the road, tough games. Desmond Ridder, still young, still a little immature. I think Detroit and Jacksonville are both playoff teams. Detroit has a really good offense. That's going to be a huge test. The biggest test of the season so far for the Falcons. And then the same can be said about Jacksonville. Trevor Lawrence, the best quarterback they've played so far. I think he'll be able to throw the football. I still have questions about the Falcons' pass defense. And I think Lawrence and Goff will have success against it. Week number 5. This one's interesting. I think CJ Stroud, will see what he is for the Texans. The Texans, I can't quite get like a feel for. I like some of their talent, but I still feel they're a year or two away. I'm going to take the Falcons. I think they're the better team. They've got better veteran players that can take advantage and win a game. So I'm going to take the Falcons at home. They were also putrid against the run last year. Then we got week 6, Washington. I think this is actually an upset loss. 3-2 Falcons, drop 1 to Washington. Maybe a team they shouldn't lose to, but I feel like Washington has the type of archetype where they can stop the run, they can force Desmond Ridder to beat them. I'm not sure he's going to be able to do that. Now, you could say the same about Washington's quarterback, where I don't know what we're going to get there, but I do like their passing attack quite a bit, at least from last year. I like their receivers. I like their explosiveness. Eric Bieniemy now there. I have some belief in Washington's passing offense. I think Washington wins that game and kind of like shocks the Falcons in Atlanta. Then week 7, I think that you're probably going to split with Tampa Bay. I've been trying to come around to, can Atlanta sweep Tampa Bay? And that's like the biggest question on this schedule for me. Like, I can't really figure it out. Because Tampa Bay, they've beat you and kind of owned you over the last couple of years, but it's been with Tom Brady. So, like, how much are you really going to take from that? And then Tampa, I like what they did defensively. They've been good against the run, but they haven't, they kind of regressed the last couple of years in that category. And then what's Baker Mayfield going to be? They're just a really tough team to figure out. I feel like likely you lose one, win one, but I could see you sweeping them. So for now, I'm going to say you lose one, win one, but I don't know. Like, you could convince me that the Falcons will sweep them, and maybe if you give me a good argument in the comments, I'll get back to you. But I feel like it's going to be close in both games. Then in week 8, I've got the Falcons beating the Titans. I think this is going to be a tough game. I had the Titans initially, but I swayed back to Atlanta. The reason for that is obviously coaching familiarity. This is a road game, but Arthur Smith, Mike Vrabel kind of know each other very well. Arthur Smith's kind of tried to replicate the Titans, and when you really think about it, I think the Titans have the better defense than Atlanta, but I think the Atlanta Falcons have a much better offense. As long as Ridder doesn't turn this ball over, I feel like they'll be able to more consistently establish the run. And I do think that Arthur Smith will have some tricks up his sleeve for the passing game. So I think Atlanta can win this game in a tight one. Probably a defensive game. Week 9, I've got the Vikings going to Atlanta and beating Atlanta. The reason for that is I think Kirk Cousins can come into the dome. I think he's good in that environment, Justin Jefferson, and I think they can throw the ball around the yard. And I also feel like Brian Flores is a good defensive coordinator. He'll have a good game plan for how to defend Bijan and company. So I'm going to take the Vikings. Then week 10, I've got Atlanta beating the worst team in football. I'm still struggling on who the Cardinals are going to beat this year, just being honest. Then we got the bye week. Then I think out of the bye week, you're going to beat the Saints at home. I think you're probably going to split with the Saints. So I'm going to say they beat you in the last week of the year at home. So either way, it just feels like you guys mostly split with the Saints when you're pretty even. I think you're pretty even this year. Then week 13, I think the Jets beat you, Aaron Rodgers. And although there's been times you guys have dominated Aaron Rodgers, I will say that. But the Jets defense is awesome. And I just don't see Atlanta winning that game in New York, especially if there's any sort of weather involved. And then week 15, I've got Carolina winning at home, getting their revenge from earlier in the year. I've got you guys beating the Colts, I think. But I don't know. I could see that going either way. Like, the Colts got a pretty good defense. It depends on what Richardson is, really, at the end of the day. Like, this one could go either way. I could be convinced either way. And then right now, I have you losing to Chicago. And the reason for that is my logic. I think Atlanta's a better team, but Chicago in like December, January, Atlanta wants to be a physical football team, but they are inherently a dome team. And Chicago's an outdoor team. So I feel like that plays to their advantage. So that's kind of my logic. I also slightly lean towards Fields over Ritter. I think both teams have similar identities. I think the Falcons are better on the O-line, but like, it could go either way. There's a couple of those games on here, but I'm leaning towards Chicago because of the environment and the time on the schedule. So I'm going to take the Falcons to go 8-9, which might be good enough to win this division at the end of the day. I think it's an improvement from the last couple of years. I have a lot of questions about Desmond Ridder, a ton. I don't know how good he's going to be. I actually boosted you up. I had you initially at 7-10. I boosted you to 8-9 just because I do feel you're better. I do feel you're going to improve. I just have so many questions about how this team is going to look defensively, how they're going to look in the passing game. And ultimately, that's too much for me to completely buy in on you guys making the playoffs. But I think you're close. And I wouldn't be shocked if you did make the playoffs. So let me know in the comments what you guys think. I see 7-10, 8-9. I think at best 9-8. Let me know. It's Mitch. Gronk, spike the like button. We'll see you in the next video. Peace.